All right. Again, we're going to start this together in class. Then I'm going to turn that over to you, and you're going to be able to work on these things on your own. Sound good? All right. So if you're at home, obviously you can't do this on paper unless you want to fold a piece of paper. Then we will do it that way. All right, so this is going to be like a double thing here. I'm going to be working with you, showing you what to do, also kind of showing the people at home what to do at the exact same time. So I'll be bouncing back and forth between this and this. So for my folks that are at home working on this, we're doing conduction, convection, and radiation. You can wait. We'll get to you in just a second. Again, you need to have pictures. We need to have pictures, correct? Because it literally says you have to have pictures. You need to have correct definitions. That's important as well. It does open them up to a little bit more unique opportunities doing this online. They can pull in GIFs if they want to and things of that nature. But again, I'm not super stressed about that. And you need to make sure if you have questions, it's like, what should I put next? Follow the rubric. So again, when we do, and we're going to start with conduction, we need to make sure we have a picture of conduction, at least one whole page dedicated to conduction, correct definition for conduction. Somewhere we need to have the definition for temperature. 3 to 5 examples of conduction on that page. We need to talk about how the heat is being transferred. So for example, if Shayla uses a finger touching a hot stove, we need to talk about how the heat is transferred from the hot stove to the cooler finger. Or if it's ice in your hand, heat's transferred from your hand to the ice. You need to mention that with each example that you talked about. And that's down here. And at some point, this will be like a different part here. What do things do when they get heated? What do things do when they get cooled? And then you might want to talk about expansion and contraction. And we'll get to that together here in just a few minutes. Very easy rubric to work through. And we'll work through that together here as well. And for all my people, I've opened up my menu to the inside. I've got 3 things in here. Now again, if you're using this the way that some students did, if you're turning it into a menu, you can write things if you want to. I mean, there's 3 main courses that we're eating today, right? Well, maybe not today, but over the next couple days. If you want to put that, you can. You do not have to. I'm not going to make you. The first choice is kind of like going to a wedding. You get to pick, you want like chicken, fish, or steak or something. The first thing that we're looking at is we're going to talk about conduction. Now, I don't think this is a shock to anybody that we have to have the word and the definition written somewhere. Do you agree with that? So, again, you're welcome to copy what we wrote, but what's the definition you use for conduction? What's the definition you use, Sadie? Transfer of heat through touch. Sounds good to me. Now, I'm already realizing that I'm running out of space very quickly for all the other stuff that I want to have on there. Now, if I can get that to go down there, wisely I check my rubric. I've got a page. I'm working on it. I need to list 3 to 5 examples of conduction. Not a problem. Let's go with, I'm going to do 5 since I want to make sure I get a good grade. Give me one example, Dolphin. If you want to tell a story, you can. Okay, so burning hand on a stove. Okay, that's one. Animal. Laying in cool, oh my goodness gracious, it's hard to write on the board today. In cool patch of dirt. Another one. You what? Yeah, egg touching the pan. Or frying an egg. That's 3. Ice in your hand, or ice melting in hand. Ice in your hand melts. One more. Anything that you touch something in heat transfer. If you left like the metal rod in the fire and you picked up that, it would burn your hand. Max? Burning your hand on a hot spoon? Sure. Now again, I'm massively running out of space here because I'm writing way too big. You have a lot more room than I do. Now, it says in the rubric, I need to talk about how heat moves. So, when I burn my hand on the stove, how does the heat move? How does the heat move? I'm sorry that I'm moving over. You don't want to do this on yours. If you do, then that's fine, but you have a giant page. I ran out of space because I was writing way too big. Heat moves from hot stove to your hand. Okay. What happens when an animal lays on a cool patch of dirt? How does the heat move, Dawson? That's right. The heat moves because the animal's using that to cool off. The heat moves from animal to the ground. Right now, we're all sitting in a chair. If we got up and put our hand on the chair, is the chair going to be warm? That's because the heat's moving from our rear end to the chair. If you sat on the floor, there would be a warm spot on the floor. Like I said, I can always tell where Sherlock was sleeping because there's a warm spot right there on the wood floor. When I'm frying an egg, Shayla, how's the heat moving? The heat moves from the pan to the egg. You're correct. Ice in your hand, how does the heat move, Akai? Heat from hand to the ice. Burning your hand on a hot spoon, Max? The heat from spoon moves to your hand. Okay. And now we need to draw a picture, right? I'm a terrible drawer, Mr. Bullens. A hand. Oh, it's a terrible hand. Is this art class?
No.
No. I can either draw a hand with ice cubes. I can go back and draw that exact same terribly drawn hand. Because again, that's not what this is all about. Right? Touching a hot stove. You can draw an animal lying in dirt. And then I check. Again, this would just be one page. I've bled over the pages terribly bad here. Let's see. Did I have a minimum of one page for a conduction? Yes. Did I list the correct definition? Yes. Did I identify 3 to 5 correct examples? Yes. Did I talk about how heat moved? Yes. And that's it for the first one. And I have a picture. I'm done with conduction. Then we're going to do the same thing with convection and radiation. We're going to make sure that we talk about how heat causes expansion and contraction when you take away heat. We're going to add the word temperature, and we're done. This is not an overly difficult project for us to work on. If you have questions and you're at home, email me. If you have questions in class, obviously raise your hand and ask me. I'm here to help. And again, it does ask that you make those in color very rarely, very, very rarely do I allow people to do all pencil unless you happen to be this young lady who all she did was draw in pencil. But that's like 1 out of 1,000 fifth graders, right? That she's like, Mr. Bones, I don't ever use color. I only draw in pencil. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, you do draw very well in pencil. Any questions right now? Let me pause this video for my folks at home. Smashing like buttons and subscribing. I might just have to sit here and keep recording if it's going to do that. There we go.